All right, I'm talking a little bit of Seahawks now with Ed Stein. And Ed, thanks so much for being with me. This was a wild ending. Russell Wilson's kind of return to the motherland, if you will, and what a way for Denver to kind of blow it. I'm just curious, before we talk about the Seahawks here, what was going through your mind at the end of this game?
What was going through my mind is they paid Russell Wilson, what, $280 million not to go for it? I chalk that up to there are a lot of rookie mistakes in that game, and the Denver coach made a rookie mistake. Put the ball in the hands of the guy who can win you the game.
I mean, from what you know about Russell Wilson, presumably covering him for so long, I imagine you, even covering the Seahawks now, have confidence that he would have been able to execute that situation, no?
Ooh, absolutely. Roll him out. Get him out in space. If not, if he couldn't find anybody to dump it off to, he's fully capable of taking off and getting 5 yards.
So the Seahawks, Ed, let's get into kind of their side of things. They came into that contest as an underdog and were ultimately able to pull it off. I think defensively maybe doing just enough. What were some of your overall takeaways of Seattle's performance in the matchup?
It was an interesting game for a lot of different reasons. Some of my takeaways, first of all, I thought the rookie tackles, Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, were fantastic, making their debuts. Rookie cornerback Tariq Woolen, 4.27 speed. Yeah, he can keep up with any receiver in the National Football League, and he sure proved it. And I guess, Geno Smith said it the best. They wrote me off, and I didn't write them back.
I love that he said that. I actually didn't see that before you mentioned it just now. I mean, yeah, that's a great point. A lot of people kind of didn't think that he was capable of a win like this or of leading a team like this. How do you feel about him?
Well, conditions were ripe for an upset. If the Seahawks were going to pull off an upset, this was the game. Generally, I feel that Geno is just about good enough to lose in a close one. Maybe good enough to beat a bad team, but against a good team, good enough to keep it close, but not good enough to pull it out. He pulled it out. Tip of the hat, Seahawks Nation and the 12s are ecstatic about it. I don't know if I would expect it every week from him, but it's certainly a good start.
Yeah, you'll take it. I mean, I think Denver had a lot to do with it, unfortunately, but hey, a win is a win. And in this league, you'll take them as they come. What about the injury to Jamal Adams? Is there any update into what he could be dealing with?
Knee. He could be out for quite some time. One of my writers, funny, during the game, one of my writers chatted in our chat, said, "Is this guy made out of paper mache?" And I'm like, he almost never missed a game with the Jets. He's just bad luck. I wouldn't expect to see him for a while. Ryan Neal, who has filled in for him admirably last year and even a little bit the year before, he can play. Is he Jamal Adams? No, but he can play.
So it's not maybe as significant of a drop-off if they don't have him available as it looks on paper?
I would say that they'll be better in coverage. But what Jamal Adams can do at the line of scrimmage and coming up, stuffing the run, blitzing the quarterback, that's not replaceable.
Yeah, you mentioned him being made out of paper mache. I mean, it's true. Significant injuries kind of everywhere for him. Is that a fluke thing since coming to Seattle? Is there any reason to think that it could be anything else that, training staff, coaching staff, the way that they practice? I mean, he has seemed to have battled really significant injuries since his arrival.
It's football. Guys get hurt. Hey, up until last year, Russell Wilson never missed a game, but he missed 3 last year. That's football. That's how it works. Guys get hurt. It's a rough game. I know from my own personal experience, my kids' experience, guys get hurt.
As you look at Seattle's schedule, Ed, over the course of the season, they got this win, which was obviously big for them. So much kind of emphasis around Russell Wilson's return and how the fans would or wouldn't embrace him. Now that this is behind them, can you just spend a little bit of time analyzing Seattle's schedule and based on what you saw in week one, what you might expect where some hiccups might be for them and really where some winnable games might be for them?
Well, winnable games, they play both New York teams at home. They play Carolina and Atlanta at Lumen Field. So those are all winnable games. I'll give them a shot in Detroit. Not that I think Detroit's great, but I'll give them a shot in Detroit. The NFC West is so competitive. I mean, it doesn't make a difference if you're up, down, whatever. It's a competitive division. Seahawks can take a game, maybe two in the division, depending on condition. So I think I had them at 5-11, 5-12, 6-11 is possible. But going to Arizona, going to Los Angeles, going to San Francisco, those are tough places to play, and it's just the guys are fired up in the division. If somebody's expecting them to make the playoffs this year, unless they can be they were the last team with a sub 500 record to make the playoffs, so they could be the next sub 500 team to make the playoffs, but that would include everybody in the NFC West crumbling.
Help us understand, Ed, just where the fan base's minds are. I mean, do you get the sense that Seahawks fans have realistic expectations for what this season may ultimately be?
I do, actually. They begrudgingly do. It's kind of funny when you look at the message boards and what have you. Of course, everybody wants to win, but I would say most of them are resigned to, we're going to take one for the team this year. It's not going to be pretty, but it's what we need to do to rebuild. I would say most 12s are on board with that. There are the some who think, hey, look, it's not as bad as everybody says it is. We can win games, but I don't see where they win enough games for it to make a difference. And winning anywhere between 5 and 8 games is going to be more detrimental to the long-term success of this team than losing, winning 4 games or winning 9 games. It's just, if they fall in that 5 to 8 range, it's not going to be what they wanted either way.
Yeah, unfortunately, they find themselves in that rebuilding no man's land where you're not going to be really, really good. You want to try not to be really, really bad, but ultimately might benefit you to be really bad. I mean, if they are going to be able to kind of muster together or cobble together 5, 6 games, what do you think needs the most improvement offensively to give them the best shot at doing that?
They played Monday night without Damian Lewis or starting right guard, left guard. They need a bigger push up the middle, first of all, to get some room for Rashad Penny to work up the middle. I think we all know that Pete Carroll likes to take the ball between the tackles. So that's number one. Number two. You didn't see, and granted they went up against a good defense, but did Geno really challenge the Denver's defense? Not as much as maybe Russell Wilson would have done. And it's not that Geno doesn't have the arm, but they're going to have to try and extend the field a little bit more to loosen things up for Rashad Penny.
What do you think Pete Carroll's future holds? I mean, is there a sense that there is pressure on him to make something happen this season?
No, he's resigned to it, and he's pretty much spoken to that fact. Pete Carroll's an optimistic guy. I mean, you'll rarely see, I won't say never, but you'll rarely see him get into a press conference and talk about how bad everything is. It's just not him. But he's not bragging, boasting, which again, not necessarily him, but he's not talking it up like he's done in the past. I think he knows. I think General Manager John Schneider knows. I think the guys on the team know that, hey, look, we're building towards something. We've got a foundation going on. We've got, possibly the best wide receiver in the game. We've got 2 great young bookend tackles. Jordan Brooks, he's not Bobby Wagner yet, but he certainly makes plays. And when Jamal Adams is healthy, they're the best pair of safeties in football. Mm-hmm. So the building blocks are there. That's going to take the pressure off. I would say if it's this time 2 years from now and we're looking at the same thing, then yeah, Pete's on the hot seat. But right now, he's got a job for as long as he wants a job.
Which I think is unusual, right? When you look around the league and think about all these coaches who it's so much, what have you done for me lately? And a lot of coaches aren't given an opportunity to get the players they want, whether it be through the draft or free agency or otherwise. And when you don't win, it almost feels these days like you're out. But I wonder, is that just because Pete Carroll has instilled enough faith kind of in his ability through working with Russell Wilson and going to the Super Bowl to convince ownership that that he's worthy of another couple of years potentially of riding this out and developing some of this young underdeveloped talent?
And it's something that he's good at. I mean, he's good at develop. Pete Carroll is good at developing young talent. He's earned himself some slack. Let's put it this way: the noose is not tight around his neck whatsoever. He's earned himself some slack. And remember, he's also a vice president. So even if he didn't coach, he's still involved. But he's certainly earned himself that. And the expectations, again, aren't really that high. I would say if the Seahawks don't show improvement this year and then look flat coming into next year, again, maybe we talk about people say the game passed them by. Not that they haven't said it recently, but that the game has maybe passed them by and it's time to move on to another coach.
It's kind of unusual. Yeah, go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
Until then, he's all good.
Mm-hmm. It's just such an unusual place to be from a fan's point of view, to be in this place where you basically have to ride out a year and wait to see kind of what happens next year. But in some ways it does feel better than going in with really high expectations and falling drastically short. I mean, a win against Denver that they had no business winning to fans must feel like elation because the expectations are so low going in. But I wonder, for Seahawks fans who are going to grin and bear it and kind of go as the season goes with this team, and they're going to suffer losses and maybe grab a couple of wins, what are some of the silver linings that fans can look forward to over the course of the season and watch some of these players continue to develop?
Well, first of all, I would say there are 70,000 people that fill MetLife Stadium every week, and the 12s are not them. We're not looking at that at either New York situation. First of all, second of all, you want silver linings. There's a lot to like about this team. It's just they don't have enough of it. Rashad Penny, he showed when he can get some space, he can make plays. DK Metcalf is DK Metcalf. He makes plays. The defense, Tariq Woolen, 5th round draft pick, great speed, converted from wide receiver, sounds like Richard Sherman. So there's a guy to look forward to. One of my writers, Clint Prasky, was on Tariq Woolen before the draft even started. He's a guy to look forward to. Again, Jordan Brooks. It seems like Seattle is starting to get some outside pass rush, which has been a challenge in the last few years. It's not there yet, but it's getting better since they switched to a 3-4. There are things that you're looking at that are building blocks to what could be in 2024.
Yeah. Is there reason to think that maybe not 2023, but 2024, I mean, they'll win twice as many games, if not more, than they will likely win this season?
With the right guy under center, absolutely. Now, who that right guy is, that's a little different. I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to get Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, but with the right guy under center, yeah. Hey, Pete took an inexperienced guy that wasn't thought very highly of at the draft, Russell Wilson, and in a few years they're a Super Bowl team. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
But the general consensus is that they will need a new quarterback in the mix in order to see that kind of to yield those kind of results.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think that anybody who's watched football in the last 15 years thinks that Geno Smith is that guy. Looking on tape, I wouldn't say that Drew Lock is that guy either. But that guy is out there. That guy is probably playing right now in college football, and that guy could be part of the team next season. And even if Seattle does finish with 5 wins, they still have 2 first-round picks to package.
That's what it's all about, right? Look to the draft, get better. It's all cyclical. Ed, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing the insight. As Seattle fans, the 12th man just hold strong, I guess. Maybe not this season, maybe not the season after that, but eventually it all comes back around in this league. Thanks for being with us, Ed.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.